Modernizing, staying informed, keeping up on. All these terms have one thing in common. They relate to knowing, owning, or using the latest and greatest things. And as you can tell by the title, I'll be trying to do this in Pokemon Gold and Silver. But how is it possible to stay up to date in a game that came out 22 years ago? Well, we're gonna act like it's 1999 and Generation 2 is the newest Pokemon game. Of course, when something new comes out, you want to see what fresh things it has to offer, and you lose interest in the older versions. So, that's what we'll be doing in Pokemon Gold and Silver, disregarding everything that was in Generation 1, and only using Pokemon, moves, and items that got introduced in Generation 2. For example, I can't use something like Charmander or Rattata, but Cyndaquil and Sentret are usable. The same goes for moves. Stuff like Tackle and Flamethrower are off limits, while Rage and Flame Wheel are fair use. Now when it comes to items, I'm throwing in an exception. All healing items and Pokeballs, no matter what generation they're from, are allowed. This is because without stuff like potions, ethers, or Pokeballs, this challenge would be near impossible. Other than that, items like proteins, escape ropes, and even evolution stones that existed in Generation 1 are a no-go. Well, hopefully that all made sense, and if it doesn't, then it should as we progress throughout the game. Also, I'm not promising that these rules will stay the same throughout the challenge, as I might have to bend them a bit. I've never done anything like this, so I'm not even sure how it'll go, but I guess we've gotta hop into the game to find out. Out of the 86 moves that were introduced in Pokemon Gold and Silver, Powder Snow is the weakest one that can also be learned by a Generation 2 Pokemon at level 1. Due to this, I started with a Piloswine that I nicknamed Little Oinks, because it sounds cool. It was able to wreck shop on my rival Cyndaquil, despite being at a disadvantage in terms of typing. Speaking of my rival, I called him Rudolph. I mean, he does have a red nose, or is that supposed to be his mouth? I don't know, man, I can't tell with these 1999 graphics. Now that we have Pokeballs, you would think there's a nice variety of Gen 2 Pokemon to catch. While that is true, you have to remember that we can only use moves that were introduced in these games. So yeah, we could get a Sentret or Hoot-Hoot, but they only know moves that are from Generation 1. As a result, the only other Mon I can have before Faulkner is an unknown because it has hidden power. So I solved the Kabuto puzzle, caught the letter A, and called it Known, because that's really funny. Faulkner claimed that his bird Pokemon couldn't be taken out by a jolt of electricity. However, he didn't account for them being killed by some random floating orbs and a couple of snowflakes. Because of this, Pidgey and Pidgeotto got taken down quickly. Alright, we've got the first badge. Maybe now there will be some new additions to the squad. Yeah, no. Besides Wooper, who once again doesn't have a viable move at this point in the game, we're stuck with Piloswine and Unknown for the Bugsy battle. I did give the TM for Mudslap to Little Oinks, so that's notable. Lucky for us, Little Oinks had no problem taking down his garbage team that consisted of Metapod, Kakuna, and Scyther. Honestly, Bugsy might have been able to beat us if he made some good choices in this fight. Instead, he decided to use stuff like Harden and Quick Attack. Well, we've run into our first roadblock of the game. Rudolph's Ghastly went down easily to a couple of Mudslaps. Quilava, on the other hand, dishes out a lot of damage with Ember, and my Pokemon can't hit it back hard enough. He first took down Piloswine, and then Unknown with a critical Ember. Even if we got past Quilava, Zubat would have been able to gobble up our hidden powers. After training both Mons to level 17, we squeezed by Quilava and two-shot Zubat. Dang, I did not think we would be having problems with our rival this early on in the game. When I went to go get the bike in Goldenrod City, I realized that we're not technically able to use it. I say this because it doesn't seem to be any different than the bike from the Kanto games. So is it just the same bike? It doesn't matter anyways, because I typically use the speed up button. I mean, no, Nintendo. I'm totally playing on my, Game Boy Color. Whitney was way easier than I thought she'd be, as it only took me 3 attempts to defeat her. Clefairy didn't stand a chance, and it came down to RNG for me to beat Miltank. I spammed Mud Slap, so Miltank couldn't stack up Rollout. Eventually, Little Oinks went down, but Unknown somehow dodged 3 stomps and won the battle. Thank goodness we can finally grab another team member. The static Sudowoodo only starts with Flail, but I picked up the Rock Smash TM right after catching it, so Sudowoodo is actually usable. Not to mention, Stickman, which is what I named it, can learn some really good TMs later on. I completely forgot that your rival battles you as soon as you enter the Burnt Tower. I still had Known up front, so I switched over to Piloswine just to get paralyzed by Lick, and then fully paralyzed 3 turns in a row. Man, you gotta love Pokemon. I really thought the battle was over, but Stickman dominated all of Rudolph's Pokemon with the rollout. Morty went down the exact same way. Sudowoodo rolled through Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar, and his other Haunter. Here's yet another battle that I thought would be tough, but I guess I'm underestimating Stickman. In the harbor of Olivine City, I caught a Chinchou. Right now, it only has Flail, but in 5 levels, Chinchou will get Spark. Also, I nicknamed it Nemo, even though their colors do not correlate at all. The battle against Chuck might be one of the luckiest fights I've ever had. Primeape went down to a couple of Mud Slaps and Powder Snows, so Poliwrath was out next. This thing was super effective on 2 of my 4 Pokemon, so I wasn't really sure how to deal with it. Nemo did about half of his health before going down to a Dynamic Punch and a Surf. I then sent out Unknown and Piloswine to get off some extra damage before Stickman was our last hope. I knew Surf or Dynamic Punch would one-shot, so I just had to hope for the best. And as a matter of fact, Poliwrath missed 3 Surfs, all because of 1 accuracy drop. He finally landed one, but Sudowoodo hung on with 2 hit points and finally whittled down Poliwrath. I swear my RNG has been a roller coaster so far. I don't know why I started with Unknown for Jasmine, because Little Oinks was clearly the better option. However, once Steelix came in, the battle got 10 times harder. Even a Dynamic Punch from Stickman only did about 1/4 of his health. After Jasmine used a Hyper Potion, Little Oinks was able to kill Steelix, mainly because he kept on missing Iron Tail. Last out was her second Magnemite, and because it outsped a Lantern, I lost the fight while only being 1 hit away. A few tries later, and I thought Sudowoodo would take her down, but he got killed by a critical Thunderbolt. However, this allowed Nemo to get his revenge and claim the 6th badge. After bashing Piloswine's head into some trees until we found the special one, a Heracross finally appeared. Unfortunately, I can't give it Dynamic Punch anymore, but I can teach it Fury Cutter as well as a few more TMs later on. Also, I'm not really sure where Ant-Man came from for its nickname, but that's what Heracross is called. Because of the atrocious level gap between Jasmine and Price, his team was really easy to defeat. Nemo dealt with Seal and Dugong, while Sudowoodo gave Piloswine a punch in the face in order to take it down. Down in the underground tunnel, Rudolph interrupted me while I was trying to save the region. Golbat, Magnemite, and Sneasel went down without any problems, but Haunter did manage to kill Ant-Man. It was Little Oinks who got the job done, but then died to Quilava. So Stickman turned into a boulder and won the fight. I was underleveled and not expecting to win going into the battle against Claire. Sudowoodo got off some good damage on her first Dragonair before Lantern finished it off. Piloswine easily took down the second Dragonair, and then I switched over to Nemo for Claire's Kingdra. I'll admit, I got lucky by paralyzing her with Spark, but Nemo still got hyper beamed to the face. Ant-Man did the last bit of damage, and also killed her last Dragonair since Fury Cutter was stacked up. Rudolph had one more chance to prove himself in Victory Road, but I sent him back to the North Pole. The only team member that died was Sudowoodo, only because he already took down 3 Pokemon, and Golbat got a critical bite. Other than that, there was no universe out there where he won this battle. By the time I reached the Pokemon League, I still had one open slot on my team. I didn't really know what else to get, so I went back to Route 45 and caught a Phanpy. I know we already have a ground type, but Donphan has a lot less weaknesses, and it can also get some decent moves. However, I definitely need to level everyone up right now, because we are not beating the Elite Four at our current state. Now that the whole team is a level 45, I think we're ready for the Elite Four. However, I have completely forgotten to mention a couple of things throughout this challenge. First, I have not been using healing items in battle. I'm not sure how I didn't cover this rule at the beginning, but now you know. You've also probably seen some moves on my Pokemon that aren't from Generation 2, for example, Headbutt. However, I have not been using those moves in battle. And lastly, I forgot to say that I named Phanpy Dumbo. Anyways, let's get back to the run. Will was up first for the Elite Four, but Stickman rolled through 3 of his Pokemon, and then Heracross and Piloswine cleaned up Jinx and his second Xatu. The only reason why this took 2 attempts was because I got bad confusion luck on the first one. I defeated Koga similarly to Will, but this time it was Dumbo that was rolling. Fortress put it to a stop with Protect, but Nemo came in for the kill. Little Oinks had no problem taking down Muck and nearly Crobat, however Lantern had to come back in to finish the job. The Bruno battle started with a back and forth clash between Donphan and Hitmontop, but you already know Dumbo came out as the victor. Just ignore that he only had 13 HP left. Hitmonchan finished off Donphan, but Sudowoodo avenged him before dying to Hitmonlee. Surprisingly enough, Unknown was probably the MVP of the battle. He killed Hitmonlee, and then got into a speed tie with Onix, and outsped on the second turn to kill him with a hidden power. Known went down in glory to Machamp, but Ant-Man came in with Reversal and won the fight. It took a few tries to beat Karen, as I had some bad luck with Sand Attack. This attempt was the complete opposite though. For starters, Stickman got through Confusion twice, and landed Dynamic Punch twice to take down Umbreon. Next up was Vileplume, who brought me right back down to Earth as due to getting fully paralyzed and Vileplume not hitting herself, Piloswine and Heracross went down. Dumbo easily killed Murkrow, Nemo dealt with Houndoom, and Gengar screwed itself by using Curse. I think I have figured out why Karens get so mad. They're just bad at Pokemon. I came close to beating Lance on my very first attempt. Gyarados got one shot, while his first Dragonite and Charizard both died in 2 hits. It was his level 50 Dragonite that killed off 5 of my team members and ruined this run. Lantern tried his best, but ended up going down to Lance's 3rd Dragonite. However, I think it's possible that we can win. Well, we won. I just forgot to record the battle. Yeah, I know, I'm an idiot. It didn't take too long after that first try to defeat Lance, as it came down to his level 50 Dragonite, but I made some better plays throughout the fight, which allowed Sudowoodo and Lantern to team up and take him down. Here's proof that I actually did beat him, as I am currently receiving the SS ticket. So, we've beaten the main storyline of the game. But if you've ever seen a Gen 2 challenge run, you know that we're going all the way to red. However, as you probably know, most of the Kanto region is relatively easy, so I'm only going to show off the 2 toughest battles, blue and red. Of course, if something comes up along the way, I'll show that off as well. Anyways, it's time for the postgame. This battle took many tries, and it came down to both of our final Pokemon to see who would win. Pidgeot got crushed by Donphan, and Lantern got a lucky crit on Gyarados. Ant-Man sliced away until Executor went down, and then Piloswine died to Arcanine before Sudowoodo got the job done. With the combination of Unknown and Heracross, Rhydon died, so last out was Alakazam. Stickman got a clutch critical feint attack before going down, which made it easier for Nemo to whittle him down with Flail of all moves. Finally, it was time to assert our dominance as the best trainer and prove that Generation 2 is better than Generation 1. As you can tell by the spamming of the speed up button, this battle took a countless amount of attempts before everything fell in place. My strategy was to use Toxic on Pikachu and then boost Dumbo's stats with Curse. This allowed Rollout to be so powerful that it would also one-shot Venusaur. Usually, Donphan would die to Blastoise, but for the first time, his Quick Claw activated, allowing Dumbo to wipe out half of Red's team. It was then up to Piloswine to lower Espeon's speed with Icy Wind, so Ant-Man could one-shot it with a Mega Horn. Sudowoodo got burned by Charizard, so he wasn't able to kill the stupid fire-flying Pokemon, but luckily, Nemo landed a Zap Cannon. Last out was Snorlax, so I paralyzed him with the Zap Cannon and used Flash so he could hardly ever get a hit off. This allowed Unknown and Heracross to deal enough damage and finally win this battle while only having Pokemon in the mid-50s. And if you can't tell by how long I was sitting on the enemy Snorlax fainted dialogue, I was going crazy. So, we are now caught up to date with a game that came out 22 years ago, because that is totally logical. This challenge was honestly harder than I thought it'd be, as many of the moves introduced in these games are sort of average in terms of power. I also noticed that not being able to use items from Pokemon Red and Blue didn't matter too much, as there were no held items in those games. I guess that rule would play a bigger factor in future generations. Speaking of doing another challenge like this one, I had a lot of fun making this video, so let me know if you'd be down to see this concept for other Pokemon games. By the way, I've done some other unique challenge runs here on the channel, so be sure to check out those ones if you enjoyed this. For now though, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell to see more, as it does help out the channel a lot. We just recently hit 300 subscribers, so I just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning into my content. Have a great rest of your day, and until next time, deuces!